my shows. So, of course, he had lots of YouTube channels taken down. He uncovered topics such as brainwashing, trauma, my labs, covert harassment. So all of which he has had to endure his entire life, as he talks about, and it's talked about in his work. Now, there are other people that are attached to this. Obviously, I've been targeted several times, but he talked about how he was going to have a show with this woman right here, Sue Mount. So she was lined up. He said he met Sue Mount in 2013 after she contacted him after watching The Change is on the Horizon. She was scheduled to be a speaker at his first conference called Timeline of Disclosure. And then she had rapidly deteriorating health, just like James did, and she died within 6 months. And of course, unfortunately, didn't make it to that event. So there's been others that didn't make it to his events also. There was this one super soldier, Renetta Jones. She also talked about how she had memories of super soldier program like I have. And she also passed away before coming on one of his shows again. So there's seems to be a little pattern going on here, doesn't it? Where they take out people that are exposing the super soldier information recently. So very tragic, very unfortunate. Many of us have to endure, these tragedies. They target us like we've talked about quite a bit, and I think in the future we'll see some of this stuff be exposed at a time where we can expose it and not at the risk of being assassinated or taken down. So I think he probably had some kind of uranium. That's one of the things they do. They hit people with some kind of uranium. Uh, this also happened to Patty Greer, who I've done shows with, and I work with her doing C60. So she talks about how C60 saved her. So there's lots of different modalities. We were trying to get some modalities to him to help him, life wave and some cleansing and so forth. But unfortunately, uh, we strangely we had sent him several shipments and they didn't get there. How about that? So very, very crazy stuff that happens in this community. I remember when I did not his last one, but the one before, I did an event with him, and there were some strange people that came to that event. And I know they were like checking everybody out and maybe targeting people. So James he did like a whole presentation, and I think it was like 30 or 40 different people that have died over the years that have been revealing like super soldiers and space program stuff and all kind of crazy stuff. So they really target people that reveal this stuff. So it's really the people that somehow seem to be able to reveal a lot of stuff, but seem to be able to keep going. You gotta look at them very closely. Maybe a little bit suspect going on, but Carrie Cassidy has been involved in this for a long time. She's been targeted several times. She's been able to survive. Good for her. Hopefully, she continues to survive, right? Because she reveals a lot of great stuff. So frustrating indeed. But we have to move on. We have to look at other things that are going on that we can have hopefully uh, an effect on, so that we can bring down this disgusting organization, reptilians, right? Negative reptilians. We talk about it on all the shows. Uh, Super Soldier talks everything. So almost everybody talks about the negative reptilians, or like negative reptilians are running pretty much the world right now, guys. So speaking of negative reptilians, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, all right, links to Pakistani Marxist, Islamist, and CCP, Communist China Party aligned networks. So there's also a lot of, Antifa, which is also a very negative organization. And we'll show you guys some stuff on that. So I spent a lot of time in Pakistan, and I know how incredibly corrupt Pakistan is. We basically found the bad guys there. I was part of taking out so many people that were in Pakistan, terrorists, and one of them, of course, was Osama bin Laden that you would know of. But there were several more that were causing a lot of devastation in um, in Pakistan. Now, Pakistan, just like the United States, just like Europe and other places, has radical radical groups, uh, reptilian led. Right? Just going to keep throwing that out there. All right. Hopefully, I stay alive to keep saying it. But they have basically uh, controlled a lot of governments all over the world. Uh, Juan O'Saven is going to come on in a little bit, and we'll probably talk about 2020. It's not over yet. All right. So 71 different countries, according to Juan, have had their elections manipulated. Pakistan being one of them, absolutely. Right. And we'll go into a little bit more of that a little bit further into this. So I'm just bringing this to your attention. Mamdani, they're deeply integrating into the United States now. We have been able to keep it at bay to a certain extent, but now it's coming in uh, very aggressively. Now, Mamdani is also connected, of course, with the Hamas tuition secrets coming at you live from Lake Tahoe. Now, we know that there's Hello, everybody. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, coming at you live from Lake Tahoe. Now, we know that there's a lot of people that are attacked quite often in our community. And one of the most recent ones, unfortunately, was James Rink. So James Rink did a lot of shows with him. Super Soldier, great, great time I had with him. Did some other shows with him, and in all those shows, he was exceptional. Very good person, amazing. Unfortunately, he has passed on. Right. So in his last event, after his last event, because we know how they target us, they basically it seems like they targeted him, and he got sick right after his last event, and now he's passed away. So very sad. It's always sad to see, someone like of the caliber of James Rink, pass. Here's Super Soldier Talk. So this is a picture of James Rink. Might remember him from some of my shows. So Super Soldier Talk on YouTube. Of course, he had lots of YouTube channels taken down. He uncovered topics such as brainwashing, trauma, my labs, covert harassment. So all of which he has had to endure his entire life, as he talks about, and it's talked about in his work. Now, there are other people that are attached to this. Obviously, I've been targeted several times, but he talked about how he was going to have a show with this woman right here, Sue Mount. So she was lined up. He said he met Sue Mount in 2013 after she contacted him after watching The Change is on the Horizon. She was scheduled to be a speaker at his first conference called Timeline of Disclosure. And then she had rapidly deteriorating health, just like James did, and she died within 6 months. And of course, unfortunately, didn't make it to that event. So there's been others that didn't make it to his events also. There was this one super soldier, Renetta Jones. She also talked about how she had memories of super soldier program like I have, and she also passed away before coming on one of his shows again. So there's seems to be a little pattern going on here, doesn't it? Where they take out people that are exposing the super soldier information recently. There were some years in Afghanistan, uh, or probably a lot less, and so between the two, it was like the numbers of deaths. Uh, it's like 10 times more people in the United States are dying from drug overdose. So these criminal gangs that Mamdani is part of will be bringing in more of these drugs and human trafficking if they can. All right, continue that. But like I said, the border is pretty much sealed up, so it's very hard for them to do a lot of this stuff now. It's harder for them now that President Trump and the U.S. Navy and special forces are down around Venezuela, taking out all of the, surface fleet that they were using, speedboats and so forth. They basically devastated it. Things like 40 something deaths from people that were on those boats trying to deliver drugs to the United States. So it's really getting shut down. So you take almost all the wars uh, of the United States that the United States has been through, and you go back maybe, from current times all the way back maybe 10 years, and there's probably been more people that have died of drug overdose and, fentanyl and so forth than have died in all our wars, guys. It's unbelievable. So this is why we are going to go after these people and why we will eventually, if he does get into office, we will take down Mamdani, right? Uh, but if he does get into office, then probably the only way we're going to get him out of there is to destroy New York, right? So that's the way it was in Fallujah when I was in Iraq. They were so well dug into Fallujah. Fallujah was completely destroyed in Iraq. So that is what's probably going to come to some major cities in the United States. We've talked about this for a long time. Um, Now, we bring this to your attention so that hopefully it does not happen, right? We don't want to see it happen. And if, we, make the effort to, stop it, then it won't happen, hopefully, right? Uh, so stay focused. Uh, be aware that this is definitely something that we need to be aware of, and we need to like push back on these criminals, these Democrat and Republican. All right, uh, the criminals are criminals. All right, and so I don't like to completely differentiate and focus on uh, Democrats completely, although they're widely and mostly involved in it. But we're seeing Democrats are being elected, guys. In the last election in Virginia, in New Jersey, and was it Pennsylvania? Was one like three different states. Anyway, it was a sweep. It was a Democrat sweep. That's bad because Democrats are all, I think, communist at this point and part of the drug trafficking cartels. All right, so we're not going to get ahead by continually having these people voted in, selected in, right? So I guess there's another one that's going to happen in I think in Nashville. The special election is coming up in Nashville, and surprisingly, uh, the Democrat has moved up and is in within striking distance of the Republican, which Tennessee is very, very red. But Nashville, with all the uh, universities they have there and so forth, they got a lot of, uh, brainwashed young people there. I've seen it. I used to go there quite a bit, visit my son. So he would talk to him all the time. My son was like, he was total Republican, and he would talk to Democrats and try and school them, help them out, and he did. He did quite a bit, but it's it's pretty bad there. So we're not going to get any good results going forward if we continually put Democrats in office, guys. So that's a huge setback wherever they go in. It's a huge setback with Mamdani going in. If he does go in, I hope that he doesn't. But it is moving in that direction. So big league politics, FBI, Kash Patel. It says we're following the money. So they're going after Antifa. So President Trump, God bless him, is basically going after all of the terrorist gangs. In Texas, they put um, the CARE, which Abbott designated CARE, a terrorist organization. President Trump has not done CARE yet, but CARE is definitely one of the like Muslim Brotherhood. So he made Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, but he needs to do CARE as well. So I'm sure they're moving in that direction. But fortunately, Abbott did that. So Abbott, remember, like I talked about, many of us on social media went into Texas. We had held events in Arizona and New Mexico. We're on stages talking about how they need to, like, the governments of those states needed to, start to push back on all of the, illegal aliens coming over, the drug trafficking and all that stuff. They started to do it because we went out there and did it. So there was a slowdown in the numbers of deaths because we started it back in 2024. All right. And then Trump came in office and now it's going downhill some more. So if they're not coming across the border, guys, then not as many people are dying and on a massive level. I think it's like less than half now. There was like 100,000. I think now it's all the way down to like 43,000 so far this year, potentially. That's a huge decrease, guys. Right? So it's very easy to see that we really need to go after the people that are trying to push this in and take down their organization. So Antifa is one of them. So like I said, President Trump designated it as a terror organization. That's huge, and it's going to have to continue. So we got Kash Patel doing that, and we have Antifa in Germany. So Antifa in Germany is a big problem too, and that's another reason why we need to get ahead of it. That's another reason why we need to get ahead of a Mamdani coming into office in New York. We need to get ahead of it. We need to show that he is a criminal before he gets into office. Once he gets to office, he's going to be like a tick. He's going to burrow in and he's going to bloodsuck New York, right? And all of the vampires that are going to just like come running to New York and they're going to bloodsuck New York and it's going to die, right? And the only way to get those vampires out is to come in with stakes and hammers and blast the hell out of the place. So come on, New Yorkers, wake the hell up. All right, you voted this criminal in, and you're gonna get hammered. All right, so FBI tracing the money organizers and interstate operations of Antifa now. So it is moving somewhat in a good direction. So I want you guys to see this Antifa logo. See the Antifa logo? Now, let me pull up Sheila Holmes' book. So Sheila Holmes, basically, in her book, An Eternal Plan Always Trumps a Human Plan. So we have, this is Antifa Christliche Action. This is 1933 paramilitary wing of the Communist Party of Germany. Hello, Nazi. All right. Hello, Nazi Party. Right there. Anti-fascist. They're anti-fascist. No, they are fascist. So here's their Biden era media doesn't want to talk about it, but under President Trump's restored leadership, the FBI is finally doing what Americans have demanded for years. All right. So it's happening. So it's a good thing. It's moving in the right direction. So very, very good movement. You got good people out here like Sheila Holm and myself and many more that are pushing this information out there. And Antifa agitation turns violent in Germany. So they got rid of the Nazis in Germany, or we did, pretty much United States and allies uh, got rid of them, and now we have the Trump administration's foreign terror label really getting bolstered here because they're, as U.S. Ambassador to Berlin, Rick Grenell warns of intolerant and violent left gangs. So here it is on X, where he talks about how if they follow the U.S. left, he's talking about Democrat Party, then they will promote deadly violence while also losing public support and elections. But they won't see the errors of their ways because the German left gets lots of support from the media, just like they get lots of support. The leftists here in the United States gets lots of support from the media as well because they're all leftists. It's publicly funded too. So in Germany, the press is funded by the public. So they're funding their demise. And so this is a very tragic situation that's going on in Germany, but it's allowing us to see that we really need to be heads up on it. So, of course, we're having protesters arrested for blocking federal agents in New York City. So they're getting ready for their Ma'am Donnie boy. So activists surrounded a parking garage where Homeland Security vehicles were parked. Who's funding this? Soros, the leftist, the communist, the Hamas, the CCP. They're funding this, guys. All right. It's a takeover of America. But the police here in New York are not putting up with it. All right. So paid agitators in New York, because I promise you, probably all of these people here are paid agitators. So as you see, they're coming in with trash cans and throwing rocks and all the typical bullshit. So it's really getting out of control in New York. So they see this as a win for themselves, and they're really going to start to come in. So I wanted to play this. I believe that we have special forces that are operating in a lot of these cities and going after a lot of these criminal cartel members before, and Hamas and other people before they actually get started. So let's give a little tribute to U.S. Army Special Operations recruiting. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another.
Not far from here on the hallowed grounds of Fort Liberty near the intersection of Rock, Merritt, and Ardennes, in etching to the green marble is a quote from the 35th President of the United States, and it reads that the Green Beret is again becoming a symbol of excellence, a badge of courage, and a mark of distinction in the fight for freedom. President Kennedy also challenged our nation to go to the moon, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. I talk a lot about an article I read a while ago in which the author wrote about how today's youth, well, they're lazy. They're lazy in language and communication. They don't seek hard work, nor have the endurance to see it through. They are nor gritty or resolute, and they lack ambition. That article was from an op-ed in the 1938 edition of the Chicago Tribune. The youth the author talked about went on to parachute behind enemy lines in France and stormed beaches like Omaha and Utah, ultimately becoming the greatest generation. And as great as that generation was, I believe that your generation can be even greater. It's an objective that has the audacity to place you into the arena, and it's an objective that dares you to try. And that objective is simply to ensure that our flag is still there. Chose a rugged path, arduous, ill-defined, with no promises of riches nor reward. Chose the journey over the destination. You surely chose the task over credit. And our nation will require answers without even knowing the questions, but answer you will, and we will answer them together. The world will hear them where they need to be heard. A sprawling city under the threat of tyranny. We're in a village building the resiliency and audacity required to free the oppressed. Green Beret will be where the nation requires they be. So may your eyes light up. We are deeply proud of you. We applaud you. We love you, and we thank you. Deo Oppressor Liber.
All right. So, hoo-yah, Green Beret. So they're out there, I think, in big numbers. And I think we're going to see a new generation save America here in America, right? So that's where we're at. How did it ever come to this, right? Regardless of how it ever came to this, we are there, and we need to step up, and we need to fight, right? We just like you heard from that article back in 1938, they were saying the youth were useless, right? Because even back then, Nazis were having marches in New York City. You can pull it up. There were not Nazis in uniform that were marching in New York City. They were trying to start a party in New York City. Maybe they did. Maybe we're seeing the results of that early stage that now we're going to see Mamdani come in, a new type of Nazi. So a Muslim type of Nazi. So in the Middle East, guys, in a lot of these countries, like I've talked about, like in Pakistan, they have come in and with CIA, the negative CIA backing, because I was there with the positive wing of the CIA, and we did really good work there, taking down terrorists like I talked about. But the Pakistan, the guy that helped us find he verified that it was pretty much bin Laden in his compound. The guy that did that, Afridi, I believe is the doctor's name is, has been in prison. Now, we told him he needed to leave Pakistan, but he thought he was going to be a hero. But the negative Pakistani negative military in Pakistan, and their negative CIA equivalent, ISI, they have a negative side, just like we have a negative side. They basically threw him in prison. So just recently, we've had one of our ambassadors to Pakistan, again, because Trump basically, when he came in office first time, he said, I'm going to get Afridi freed. Even Trump couldn't do that because Pakistan's so corrupt. So they're still trying to get Afridi freed, guys. He's been there for, I don't know, like 12 years, however long it's been. So it's a very corrupt country. They have There's a former not soccer, but in Pakistan, they do like what's that one where they throw the ball with the cricket. So they're cricket fanatics. You think Americans are we love football. You know nothing about Pakistanis who love their cricket. Now you know that I've said many times that our sports are basically compromised. They choose the winner. That was disclosed by the CIA in Pakistan through the news media, and Pakistanis didn't care. Just uh, like I've been disclosing for years, uh, Americans don't care. They don't care it's compromised. They want to go have their beer and their hot dogs and party and all that kind of stuff and just believe. All right, so we're gonna have Juan come in and give us a little update on what's going on out there. And Juan, it's good to have you back again. I was just talking about how the Green Beret are gonna, they're coming back. We're gonna have the greatest generation again, and that fighting is going to happen, not only around the world but also here in America, cleaning up, I believe, the deep state bubbas that are out there. So I think it's going to be super challenging going forward. I think it's going to take years to clear it all up. But as we'll see going forward, it's going to be quite fantastic.
Well, I would agree with you. There we go. I had to get the camera on there, so
Sweet. Good job. That's
yeah,
lovely there.
yeah. Um, you know, we got a lot of people that seem to think that the military is somehow in opposition to what we're doing, or it's going to do something wild and crazy and just go take over the country or throw every bad guy out or whatever. That's not the way it works. The military is under the command of civilian government led by the commander in chief, who is the um, elected representative of the people
Commander in
and
Chief.
commands the military commander in chief. So he's not out there just doing anything he wants, and neither is the military. They have certain protocols they operate within, and that they all must obey. And then the president commands the military. The military doesn't go off half cocked. People, they just got to send in the army, got to send in the Marines, got to send them to do this and that. They don't do it on their own. Why don't they just go in there and do something? They don't do it on their own. They do it under command. So, I'm thinking of the Tina Peters situation. Even there are certain protocols that they're not just going to take it on their own authority to do what needs to be done here. It's got to be in a command situation.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, um, I don't know if your people or if you talked about it much about the situation with Tina, but there's so much going on there, and we've got a kind of a tough moment here where her health is declining, and when somebody's a cancer survivor, that can happen a lot quicker because their system's already been depleted at some level. She lost a third of a lung, and so even though we've talked about it, over the last couple of weeks, it's still a very critical moment, critical issue that has to be addressed. And I know the president was made aware of some new developments that I don't think we have permission to talk about at this point in time, but I think there's things that are going on that some speed is in order to assist Tina at this point in time.
So, if we do the Venezuelan strike, do you think they'll do a pretty much a insurrection act here in America?
Well, I don't think that's quite the way it works.
Yeah.
There's here's part of what's going on in Venezuela. Um, Maduro was given a kind of a choice uh, several weeks back, and he was let known that he had till the first, And if he hadn't cleared the area, it was a free for all to go get him. He's got a $50 million bounty on his head from the Justice Department. So he has to decide, does he want to live free, go somewhere, or be incarcerated in the U.S.? And we've done it before. Pineapple Face was here for the remainder of his life. And Maduro can go enjoy a federal prison also. But as I understand it, and I think the information's accurate, but we don't have independent confirmation of it other than a couple of sources that are probably all playing off of one source. So again, it's really just one source through several people, that Maduro took a government aircraft, flew to the border of Venezuela, and then went in on foot or vehicle into Brazil, and then was going to be flown out to a location where he could enjoy the sunshine and relax the rest of his life. He'd be, not going very far, but he would not be incarcerated in a federal prison. As I understand it, that occurred, and he flew out of that location sometime early this morning, if that information is correct. And we don't have any independent confirmation of it. If he has left, and the people of Venezuela, at the point that they become aware that he's no longer there, that's when you get into something really interesting. See, Venezuela has been being run really real number for, at least 30 years, if not longer, by the Cubans. They were present before, but they really just took over everything about 30 years ago. And when they did that, you couldn't get a driver's license. You couldn't get your Social Security. You couldn't get a government contract unless Cubans were involved. They ran everything.
Wow.
And the country was really just a pawn state, Cuba, if you can imagine. And then Cuba with Russian control over Cuba up to a certain point. Now, really, it's Chinese control over Cuba. They've been willing to spend the money, and has been that way probably realistically for about a dozen years. And so, it's not a Russian vassal as much as it is now a Chinese. And let me just add this. In this bizarre twist of the way things have been going in Cuba all the way along back to the 50s, the Brits have been controlling operations in Cuba through Canada. And so Canadians continued to travel to Cuba even when Americans could not. And then Canadians brought back their cigars and everything else, and came and went from Cuba when they needed car parts to keep their 50s cars working. They got them through Canada. So that connection to the Brits, who've really been doing stuff in this very obtuse way of doing it through Canada, a Commonwealth country, that is also going to be challenged. So what it's most likely going to happen, the Venezuelan people understand that they've been under the thumb of the Cubans for so long. Every dictatorship, even the vote stuff, was controlled by the Cubans. And so they're going to revolt. And the moment that Maduro is known to no longer be in the country, I expect that to be on.
Oh, yeah.
And the real issue is going to be, will the Cubans that are there stay and fight? There's a large number of them. Or where will they go? They don't have a private aircraft to get to the border. Will they be allowed egress to get back to Cuba or to some other location? Or are they going to stay there and fight it out? And by the way, South America, the Cubans are all over the place. The largest Russian embassy on the planet's over there in Mexico. And the Cubans are right there involved with everything there too, but also China. I had one of my contacts who does contract work for three-letter agencies, been doing that for a very long time. He and I talked just recently. He was down in Guatemala with a security team, and they were all essentially under contract to our government. And they just went out for beers in Guatemala. And when they were done, of course, in these South and Central American countries, and you know this, you don't really go out to dinner, say at sunset, you know, latter part of the day. You might take a siesta, get up, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you go out and you have a dinner and drink or two, and you're not done with that till, you know, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And that's just common in that culture. So they weren't doing anything weird. They're out there at 1:30, 2 in the morning, had dinner, some beers, and they're walking back to their hotel, and they heard music coming from a spot and thought, well, you know, maybe we'll have one more beer. Well, they get in there, and it turns out it's a brothel being run by Cubans and Chinese. And they look around the room and realize, oh my gosh, and there's a band playing and all that. And so they're trying to make their exit. And there was a couple of things that happened. One of them was that there was a girl that was probably Ukrainian, but they don't know. And she just tried to latch on to one of the team members and just, you know, stay with them. No, you got to stay, you got to stay. Because, of course, they have to meet their quota every day. And just, you know, as he said, just a beautiful young girl. And but with their work, their clearances, etc., there was just no possible way, and they made their exit and left. And it was very clear that it wasn't just Eastern Europeans running this. The Chinese were all around, inside and outside the building, guarding the facility. The next day, when they were in a meeting with their counterparts there in Guatemala, they described the situation, their concerns, not wanting anybody to be confused. You know, they just didn't realize what they got into, and the guys all had a laugh and said, "Yeah, the Chinese have 3 of these places here in Guatemala. They're all over South America, and that's one of their primary ones. And it's them and the Cubans, and they bring these girls in from other parts of the world and prostitute them there in Guatemala, but it's the same in other places." Again, there's that alliance. I believe what's going to happen is that as Venezuela, as they realize that Maduro's not there, are going to have civil unrest, civil war, whatever it is. It's going to be aimed primarily at their main oppressors as they see it, which is the Cubans. And that's maybe just hours away at this point in time.
Right. So that's a great video. Thanks so much. Now, do you think that's going to spread? Do you think it'll spread over to Brazil with Lula, or Colombia maybe, or Mexico? Do you think it's going to spread at all?
You know, that's a really hard question. I don't think any